So again, very powerful, very beautiful lines that no one can take us away, no matter how, many a times in our ignorance, we do sins after sins committed in ignorance. So here, he says, no matter how much far you have gone into falsehood, the inborn right is yours. The destiny is very sealed and safe here. This one. It is near us in unnumbered bodies and births. In its unslackening grasp, it keeps for us safe the one inevitable, supreme result no will can take away, no doom can change. So no matter how much in our ignorance we may go down and down and down, there is always a possibility of turning, making a U-turn and coming back to our true nature. Always, so many a times in our limited consciousness, we think that what would happen of me, I'm not worthy enough, I've done so many sins. But if we would begin to say that, then what of those people who are labeled as criminals and terrorists, as if there is no possibility of their awakening? But that is not so. We have seen how, I think it was Valmiki who was first a Daku, and then he turned into Valmiki, and people know him by name already. So there is always a possibility of turning back to our true nature. It's a treasure which is always kept safe for us. It's our birthright, the crown of conscious immortality, as we were discussing last time, that unconsciously we are all immortals. But consciously, do I live like an immortal? Consciously, do I live from the soul consciousness? Yes, unknowingly, soul consciousness is the only one that is unfolding itself. But knowingly, do I live as my true nature? That's what makes a difference, a whole lot of a difference in the quality of our lives. So this is kept safe for us, all of us, unslackening grasp. No will, no doom can change this. And when we plunged into this adventure where we dared death and suffered life, it was promised to us. This God had promised to our struggling souls when first man's heart dared death and suffered life. So as if it's like a play going of hide and seek, that maybe not in this lifetime, maybe in the next one, maybe not in the next one, maybe in the other one. It doesn't matter how long it takes, but even the most criminal, most terrorist of a person would awaken to his or her true nature. That is a possibility given to us all. It's a birthright. And we were then towards the end, we were reading here, meanwhile, at the spirit's opposite pole, what is happening? The conscious force that acts in nature's breast, this Chit Shakti, the force of Prakriti, which appears to be unconscious, as if some mechanical movements are there, but there also it hides its consciousness. It's unfolding a divine will only. A dark-robed laborer in the cosmic scheme. So Prakriti is manifested or taken as the dark-robed laborer, because it doesn't appear like it is conscious, as if it's just all mechanical actions that are going on, but all of them have a purpose. All of them have a consciousness, carrying clay images of unborn gods, executrix of the inevitable idea. The divine will is being executed by Prakriti herself, and it is not separated from the consciousness of Purusha. It's not a blind mechanical force that is in action. Hampered, enveloped by the hoops of fate. Although the task that it has been given Prakriti to manifest the divine in consciousness, in material manifestation, it's a difficult task. It's a laborious process. We are our own enemies, worst enemies. So it's a very laborious process, hampered, enveloped by the hoops of fate. But patience, she is very patient. Prakriti is very patient. Nature, the force of evolving nature, is very, very patient. It's a patient trustee of slow, eternal time, the Divine Mother. It knows that sooner or later, everyone, each one of the beings, sentient beings, will be waking up to their true nature. absolves from hour to hour her secret charge. This is the secret charge given to her. And she is making it happen in very little baby steps, many a times secretly, that we don't even get to know, and the work is done. So this is where we had stopped last. So we'll read the last few lines and then we'll enter the other section. And in the meantime, whenever anyone has reflections, please keep on sharing. Yeah, so anyone who feels ready, let's start from here for today.
All she foresees in masked imperative height depths, the dumb intention of the unconscious gulfs, answers to a will that sees upon the heights, and the evolving word's first syllable, ponderous, brute-sensed, contains its luminous close, privy to a summit victory's vast descent, and the portent of the soul's immense uprise.
Yes, thank you. So all she foresees in masked imperative depths. Imperative is something which cannot be avoided, which is there. It's like imperative to face something when we say that, like that. So she foresees, the Prakriti, the force of the Divine Mother, Aditi, Shakti, call it by any name. She foresees in masked imperative depths. For her, it is obvious. She sees all of that. The dumb intention of the unconscious gulfs. So all these, the inconscient in which we mostly live, the darkness of the matter, that which is not even aware of its own divine potential. She is aware of the potential of this unconscious gulf. She is aware of even the call. Earlier, I think in the earlier cantos, we also read that as if there is an inarticulate murmuring from these unconscious depths that they want to evolve, but they cannot even articulate it. So even the words do not come out beautifully that yes, this is an aspiration, but she understands, since she is the mother, she is the force of the Divine Mother. She understands the hidden aspiration of these gulfs. All she foresees in masked imperative depths, the dumb intention of the unconscious gulfs, answers to a will that sees upon the heights. And the moment we see that inarticulate murmur happen, no matter how inarticulate a call is, it is always answered. It is always answered. And here it also refers to that this inarticulate murmuring, or this coming from the gulfs, is also happening as a response to the divine will. Because the divine is hidden in all the aspects of nature. You talk of nature, you talk of divine. So they are inseparable from each other. And yet it is hidden. It doesn't appear like there is anything divine in this ugliness, right? But it is there. So even the dumb intention coming from the unconscious gulfs, it is nothing but an answer to the will that sees upon the heights. It is an answer to that divine will which is unfolding itself in manifestation. And the evolving world's first syllable, ponderous, brute-sensed, contains its luminous close. She's able to see all this process which is hidden from all of us. So evolving words, we earlier read in few lines, in previous cantos, I think maybe here only in this one secret knowledge, that Om, when we talk about A, O, M, so he referred to A and O as the syllable, the vowels of the infinity, which have gotten separated from the syllable, which is M. When we say M, the consonant is M, we have to close our lips to speak it. So it's a finite expression. Matter is finite expression of the infinite. So the moment I say matter, M, it appears as if it is distant from the divinity. So this dissociation that has happened, not in the depths, but on the surface, this is what has to be covered, the gulf between matter and spirit. So when it says, and the evolving words, Aum, the divine word, Om, first syllable, Ma, referring to matter, it is heavy, ponderous. It's brute sense, the senses of the matter, from which we evolve. Senses have evolved from the matter. They are brute sensed. All that we are able to see is very gross. It's very limited perception of whatever we can see. And yet we believe all that. That is our foolishness, that we know that the mind can only see this much. We know that the senses can only sense this much, very little, cannot see the whole picture. They are brute sensed, they are not very refined. And yet we believe and we live a life solely based on what I am hearing, what I am interpreting. That is our foolishness in one way. Ponderous, brute sensed, contains its luminous close, and yet it's not its destiny. So although I am full of weaknesses, although I am full of limitations and unworthiness right now, but that is not my destiny. I don't have to stick to this reality of me all the time. So there is a luminous close or a luminous destiny also for the matter, which Mother, especially in Mother and Sri Aurobindo, we read about, that when they talk of life divine, that even matter, even the cells of the body will awaken to their divine potential, and even the matter would become luminous and radiant, full of divine expression. That we don't see really, anywhere else in mostly any philosophy doesn't talk about the change of the matter. Maybe a couple do, but they are not very common to us, kind of usually, in a contemporary world. So with Sri Aurobindo and Mother, we also see this possibility of matter waking up to the conscious immortality. So this force, this luminous force, Prakriti, nature, it's privy to a summit victory's vast descent. It knows that the victory is ours, which we see again and again in Mother's prayers and meditations, that the divine certitude, victory of divine victory is certain. There is a certitude there in Mother's prayers and meditations. No way other can it happen, no matter how long it may take. So she knows this, privy to a summit victory's vast descent and the portent of the soul's immense uprise. So there is this, kind of uprising of the soul from within the matter, like the soul is involved in the matter and then it evolves out of it, the divine presence. And then there is the descent from above. So both, she is aware of the both. She is also aware that each one of us has the potential of giving rise to a Godhead. That's our birthright. So through all her movements, through all her conscious and creations in evolution, she is aware of this possibility, in our evolution. Portent means like what is visible, that yes, this would happen. There are signs and hints and clues that yes, this would happen. So she sees that advent of the immense uprise of the soul. So we'll pause here. Any reflections, any insights?
Monica, can you please go through these two lines, the dumb intention of the unconscious gulfs?
Yeah. Which two lines? The dumb intention of the unconscious gulfs?
Yeah. Answer to a will that sees upon the heights.
Okay. Yeah. So Prakriti, the conscious force that is possible, that is making all the evolution possible, is aware of the dumb intention of the unconscious gulfs. So I believe this is in reference to, as you were sharing, in reference to, whenever we are living in, for example, relating it to whenever we are living in ego consciousness. Ego is not aware that all that it is looking for is its own liberation, is its own annihilation. But it is trying to do that. Through various means and methods, it is trying to achieve a state of bliss and happiness. That's another matter that it doesn't happen. So I believe that if I am desiring and if a desire is fulfilled, it'll give me fulfillment. But has any desire gave any one of us any fulfillment, right? So it's an unconscious need that I may be fulfilled, yet I don't know how to figure it out. So Prakriti is aware of this dumb intention. It's a mute intention. I'm not saying it out loud that all I want is to be fulfilled. Ask any desirous person. Would he admit that all he wants is fulfillment? No, he would. It would be a rare fellow who would really be able to admit that, yes, I'm seeking my own fulfillment. So this dumb intention, which is there, which is not even articulated in our own ignorance and unconsciousness, Prakriti is aware of that. Our evolution or evolutionary movement is aware of that. And that is why we see how our life unfolds. You are maybe seeking for something, you are seeking for help, and you stumble upon a book which is not a treasure, which you find all your answers that you were seeking in that moment. You find your answers. So you did not even articulate it. You did not even really pray, and yet it happened. So it's like it's hidden, yet she knows, she's aware of the dumb intention of the unconscious gulfs, which is doing nothing but answering to a will that sees upon the heights. So all that the ego is wanting is its own annihilation. Why? Because that is my highest possibility. Our highest possibility is to live from the state of egolessness and then further, go on transformation of self. So we don't even know that in our ignorance, we are actually walking the path. So all of us, whether some may admit it, some may not admit it, all of us are answering to a divine will. What is the divine will? That yes, all of us have to slowly walk to our true nature, more and more become conscious of it. So that is just one way of explaining or talking about these lines, and I'm sure there would be more to it.
Thank you, Monica.
Yeah, anyone else? Anything to share here? Okay, so we'll go ahead in that case. Yeah. Anyone who feels ready to read?
All here where each thing seems its lonely self, or figures of the soul transcendent one. Only by him they are. His breath is their life. An unseen presence molds the obvious clay.
Yeah. So, in the world of manifestation and form, everything appears separate from each other. You are different from me. I have this body which ends here. You have this body which starts there. I am separate from my neighbor. My house is separate from your house. We have boundaries separating nations. So everything appears really lonely and scattered and separated. All here in the world of form, in the world of manifestation, all here where each thing seems its lonely self. So although we are all next to each other, yet we are very separate. We have very kind of a separate existence from each other. So he says, all here where each thing seems, but it's only apparent. It's only an appearance which appears to be like a lonely self, are nothing but figures of the soul transcendent one. This reminds me of Kabir's couplet here, which says that you are the clay, you are the potter, you are the utensils which are made out of the clay, and you are also the consumer which is making use of that clay utensil. So there is only one. There are no two. That is where we enter into non-duality, that there is nothing other than the divine.
Monica,
Yes, please.
Monica, say that doha in Hindi, na?
Actually, this is from why I didn't say it in Hindi, because it's I heard it from a Pakistani, song, which says something like "Khud kuza gar, khud gile kuza." So you are the one who is making the clay, and I'll maybe share the song with you. I really can't. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. It's in their language, and I didn't want to kind of. Yeah. So
That song, Mati Kudum Karendi Yaar, I think by Bulle Shah, that
Mhm.
also I think has the same essence, na? Like Mati Ghoda, Mati
exactly. Yes.
and Mati is Ghursavar type.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल हाँ. So उसी को वो जो फरीद अयाज हैं पाकिस्तान के, he talks it in a different way. He says खुद कूजा गर खुद गिले कूजा. So you are the gili mitti and you are the one who is the potter. So yes, the essence is the same. And in Ishavasya Upanishad, the first verse that we read, Ishavadyam, Isavasya idam sarvam. This whole world is the manifestation of the Lord for his inhabitation only. So where is the other? There is no other. And even if whenever we are suffered by otherness in our life, that's the most possible cause of our suffering mostly, that there is otherness in our life. If we contemplate on this, even the first verse of Ishavasya Upanishad or these lines, then something settles down within, that there is no reason for us being in continual suffering, because everything has a purpose. And what appears to be other also has a message. Can I read the message? And then something relaxes within. Otherwise we feel that as if the universe is against us. मेरे साथ ही क्यों हुआ? मेरे साथ ही क्यों हुआ? मैंने तो अच्छे काम किए थे. Something like that. But when we are able to look beyond the appearance, then we see that yes, maybe I needed that experience. Something or the other needed to change in me through that experience. So then something relaxes within, that the universe is not against me, it is for me. So all here, where each thing seems its lonely self, are figures of the soul transcendent one. Now look at all the difficult people in your life, and as if the divine is wanting to share something through their presence. Can we read that? It's a very challenging task, but if we are able to do that, I think that really solves a bigger problem for each one of us. Only by him they are. So they have been allowed. All these separate figures that we see in our life, they have been allowed. They have a purpose. Only by him they are. His breath is their life. So it's a beautiful, I think, 4 lines, or again, many lines from Savitri, for contemplation, that just to open it and maybe read these 3-4 lines. An unseen presence molds the oblivious clay. Oblivious is ignorant of, like kids are innocent in oblivion. They don't even know they are innocent. Just like that, this unseen conscious presence within is molding the so-called dense clay of matter. So it's not that it's all unconscious. There is a consciousness hiding in the unconsciousness. It's awake. And that's why they say, in India especially, and also many other cultures where we give a very sacred form to each and every aspect of life. जैसे पत्थर में भी भगवान दिख जाते हैं, books, उसका भी कोई देव है. In India we also, I think, have this mantra where each part of the body has a god, has a deity dwelling. So nothing is not sacred. I think even if for one moment in my day, if I can fall into this sacredness of life, then something settles again, something relaxes within. That there are no separation in life, that this is holy and this is unholy. Everything has a holy aspect to it, and not the festival holy, like HOLY. Yeah, anything here? Anyone? So I'll keep on going ahead. If there are any reflections, please keep sharing. Yeah, anyone who wants to read?
A playmate in the mighty mother's game. One came upon the dubious whirling globe to hide from her pursuit in force and form.
Yeah. So it's the play, where all of us have heard, the play of Purusha and Prakriti, the play of Ishvara and Shakti, the play of Brahman and Maya, So it's a play happening. And we just, mother also shares, we take it too seriously. We really take it too seriously. All of us, all of us. At times we may be light about it, and that really helps. And at times we are burdened by the play. It's not a play anymore. We have taken it really too seriously. And that happens in games, whenever we are playing games like cricket or some even indoor games. And when we begin to take it too seriously, then something heavies us down, something burdens us down. Like we lose the spirit of the game. So this transcendent one with the capital O, Purusha, Supreme Purusha, is a playmate in the mighty mother's game. So he is not distant and aloof. He's a part of the game. He's participating in the game, but in a hidden manner. One came upon the dubious whirling globe, referring to our earthly existence, Earth as a planet also. Dubious, why? Doubtful, We, even though we have really beautiful minds, but we are all full of doubt all the time. We are all full of unsurety. Yes, I have reached this conclusion, but I'm still unsure of it. So there is never an absolute certainty that we reach when we know through our minds. Such is the nature of knowing through the limited mind, not the awakened, illumined mind, but the limited consciousness in which we usually live. Coming from the senses. So there is a knowledge which comes from the senses, and then there is an innate knowing which is beyond the senses. So this, we are not talking of the innate knowing, we are talking of the limited ordinary human mind that we live in. It's a dubious reality that we live in. We are not really sure. Everything is changing. All truths are relative. So today I am really sure of something, tomorrow I'm unsure. That happens with each one of us. So one can laugh about our surety, that yes, I'm sure, but I'm really not sure of my surety. So the one, transcendent one, came upon dubious whirling globe to hide from her pursuit in force and form. So he entered the manifestation to play this hide and seek. Okay, let us have fun. Because the mother and Sri Aurobindo especially, he shares that the universe is based on the delight of existence. So there is a delight in living. There is a delight in the manifestation. But ask those of us who are suffering, and they will ask, where is the delight? I can't see any delight. Why? Because I have taken it too seriously. I've taken my desires too seriously. I've taken my expectations from people too seriously. कि अगर ये नहीं मिला तो बस मेरी जिंदगी खत्म. And the moment I begin to take it a little lightly, that हाँ नहीं मिला, but so what? My life can still go on. I think there itself something really opens up, as if a knot kind of opens up when we don't take up us very seriously. So he came upon to hide from her pursuit in force and form. So force and form is the aspect of Prakriti, as we say, the divine mother, Aditi, Shakti, and he's hiding from it. So as if it appears that all the movement is an unconscious movement, like patterns of things. But there is a consciousness hiding, which is very obvious, yet hidden. So if you have skies and there are clouds in the sky. So one day the sky can be masked, and one can say, where is the sky? Where is the sky? So the sky is right here, and that's where the clouds are, but we can't see it. So it's right there, but it's hidden. It's hidden by our own preconceived ideas and notions. It's hidden by our own attachments to our own ideas, opinions, thoughts, feelings, ideas about life. And we miss the point. The moment I attach to the force and form, it appears as if I miss the point. But he's hiding. He's playing hide and seek, but he's there, awake in each form and each particle of existence. Yeah, anything here? Anyone? Anyone who feels ready?
Charu, your turn.
Yeah. A secret spirit in the inconscient sleep, a shapeless energy, a voiceless word. He was here before the elements could emerge, before there was light of mind or life could breathe.
Yeah. Beautiful, I think, meditative lines again. Referring to the one with capital O. A secret spirit in the inconscient sleep. When we talk about patterns, when we talk about something which is mechanical, it actually appears like a sleep only, right? As if it's not aware of itself. And yet there is something hidden which has to be found. As if, as a matter of talking, I am saying that it has to be found. Mother says that the only failure is not to find our soul. Now one can say, when everything is soul, how can you say not to find our soul? But we are not conscious of it. So this one, this transcendent one, is a secret spirit in the inconscient sleep. A shapeless energy, a voiceless word. So he is not the product of nature. Soul is not a product of nature. And that's why many enlightened beings, not many, if some of them, they don't really talk much about their personal kind of, experiences much. Why? Because then it appears that if you follow this and this, then you will get this, like that it appears. And one can take it in like a dogma or a formula. But they say, I have heard at least one of them saying that, don't think that this word that is coming out of my mouth is a product of my experiences that I went through. So what he was trying to say is that soul, or the Atman or Anatman, in other terminology, it's not a product of our experiences and movements of life. It is untouched by the experiences and movements of life. And that's why no matter how false I may go, I can always turn back to this purity. चाहे कितना भी दूर चले जाएं, गलत करते 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 करते, this essence within me always remain untouched. But that is a different matter. Many a times it may be harder, even harder, if I just follow the wrong trail. Although, having said that, it's not really necessary that it becomes harder. Angulimal, the Daku, for him, it was sudden, like sudden awakening, and he became a disciple after being a Daku and, like a murderer for a long time. He would cut fingers and put this mala in his, the neck. How many mans I have kind of killed or, kind of looted. So, and if you remember that anecdote where, he saw Buddha going through that forest, and he asked the Buddha, ठहर जा. And Buddha said only one thing, मैं तो ठहर गया, तू कब ठहरेगा? There used to be this serial come on Doordarshan, I remember, and I can't forget actually this sight when in Jaipur, I was once at a relative's place, and this incident, this story was coming, Angulimal and the Buddha, and he's saying that you stop, and he says that I have stopped, but when will you stop? So, and then he transformed, he stopped being the Daku and became a Buddhist, his disciple. So it's amazing. The ways of the divine are so amazing that at any point of time, if an aspiration, true aspiration, a bit of sincerity is there, that turning to the true nature can happen. So this is the secret spirit hiding. A secret spirit in the inconscient sleep, a shapeless energy, a voiceless word. He was here before the elements could emerge. So he was here before the manifestation or the Prakriti evolved out of the Purusha. Before there was light of mind or life could breathe. When we talk about merging the mind into the source of mind, this is where we can rest. Usually whenever we are resting, if you have seen, how we rest, we think about people and things. Mother says that that's not a very beautiful way to rest. When you rest, when I rest, can I rest in the source of the mind, where mind is not? Now that is true rest. Then I don't need much hours of sleep, or then I won't be even exhausted. 5 minutes of sitting like that and you're refreshed. Why? Because that is the fountain of felicity, fountain of energy, the source from which mind or life arises. And it's not that it's all theory and philosophy and we cannot touch it. All of us can touch it. And all of us have known it. In all our experiences, we have touched it, we have glimpsed it. So Mother says to relive that experience again and again of beauty, of purity, of silence. So when we rest, if we rest in something which is beyond the mind, source of the mind, where mind is not, I'm not trying to recollect, I'm not trying to remember, I just am. In that source, we get a glimpse of this. I can't even say, get a glimpse, because if I'm getting a glimpse, then again mind will try to revive it. Such is the quality of our mind. It's a grasping mind. It wants to recollect and kind of want to grasp that experience again and again. But it's not something that can be grasped. It can just be lived. So that is a reference or a indication or a hint to the one, to the supreme, to the source of life. So he was here before the elements could emerge, before there was light of mind or life could breathe. And having said this, elements, elements of Prakriti, elements of nature, our body, it's so hard to have mastery over the elements of nature. No, maybe it's relatively easier to train our mind and emotions, but it's much, much, much harder when it comes to training the physical, like really to the depths of it. Why? Because then you need mastery over the elements, the panch tattva of which the body is composed of. And for that, it is impossible that I have mastery over the elements, and yet I am not in connection with the source. So being in conscious connection with the source also makes me possible, maybe in future lifetimes, that this mastery over the elements of the being can also be got, because he was here before elements could emerge. So element, what is the source of the element? What is the karta dharta of the element? He is the one. Yeah. Any thoughts here? Anyone?
Actually, this last line reminds me of another Doordarshan serial.
Yeah.
And Bharat Ek Khoj. And then there was this before, I mean, the introduction to each episode was through this song or the chanting which was done, which Shrishti se pehle sat nahi tha, asat bhi nahi tha, अंतरिक्ष भी नहीं, आकाश भी नहीं था। छिपा था छिपा था क्या कहाँ, किसने ढका था? उस पल तो आगम अतल जल भी कहाँ था? सृष्टि का कौन है करता, करता है या अकर्ता? So there is like the whole thing.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, very relevant to this these lines.
It
I'm
is,
sure
I
all
mean,
of us have heard.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very, I mean, every time, I mean, even now at times, I have heard that chanting. It is very inspiring to hear that chanting. And chanting is so powerful at also at times.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as you were reading out these lines, as if it absorbs you in that silence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Anyone else? Anything here? So this also, before there was light of mind or life could breathe. What is there before a thought? If we can relax there, what is, because we usually relax in our thoughts. That is how we like to relax. We're always thinking about this or that, and maybe a pleasurable experience or maybe a bad experience, reflecting, contemplating. And for all of that appears so important to us. So we don't want to leave it. And in that not leaving the thoughts, actually, we miss out on something very precious, which is relaxing in something which is beyond thought. Where is the thought coming from? What is the origin of thought? And Ramana Maharishi would also say that when you ask a question, ask who is asking the question. So the moment you ask this question, that who is asking the question, you are absorbed in a silence. And Mother says that that's the only first step. Integral yoga, nirvana or liberation from the clutches of ego is only the first step in integral yoga. It's the beginning of a new life. It's the beginning of a life free from the clutches of ego, where now I can have mastery over my thoughts, emotions, and hence do some actions which are not selfish, rather than they're selfless actions. So that's the beauty of integral yoga, that it goes on, and it gives us almost a direction for the whole life. And yet, having said that, before that comes the liberation from the clutches of ego, which is a continuing journey, obviously, because one can always fall into the trap of ego. And hence this kind of a process or practice of relaxing, where is the origin of thought, where is the thought coming from, there, relaxing there, resting our being there, knowing ourselves as that peace and silence. I think that really helps. One of the ways is that really helps in the process. So if there are no further reflections, please, anyone who feels like reading ahead, green lines.
Go on, madam. Go on.
Accomplice of her cosmic huge pretense. His semblances he turns to real shapes and makes the symbol equal with the truth. He gives to his timeless thoughts a form in time.
Yeah. So accomplice, we use this word usually for when we are, doing a robbery or like notorious acts, accomplice. So he, the transcendent one, is an accomplice of her cosmic huge pretense. It's a pretense. It's a cloak which is hiding the transcendent one. Accomplice of her cosmic huge pretense. Also, in other words, we can call it the Maya, that as we say in Advaitic terminology, Maya. And Maya is nothing but an action or a manifestation of Brahm only. It's not different from Brahm. Maya is hiding the Brahm or Brahman in herself. Now that is as if they are both boy and girl, playing kind of lovers playing hide and seek with each other. So he is the accomplice of her cosmic huge pretense. His semblances he turns into real shapes. So whatever the Prakriti or Maya creates, his semblances, something which look like, she tries to make something which looks like him, he turns into real shapes. How? By inhabiting it. So imagine that you're making something out of clay. It's very meaningless maybe, but I hide a diamond in that clay. So it becomes very meaningful. Now it gets a meaning. So in every form and shape, this transcendent one hides himself in the creation of the Prakriti, which is again his own manifestation, so that it becomes real. And that's why Mother and Sri Aurobindo talk about Maya or illusion or the world as a dream in a different sense. They say that yes, this is a dream, but it is a real dream. Don't think that you can do anywhere because it's a dream. Anything can be done because it's just an illusion, it's a dream. So just live frivolously and consume all that you have to, because it's just a dream, an illusion, right? So we can also misuse it in that sense. And Sri Aurobindo and Mother say that yes, it is a dream, yes, it is an illusion, but it is a real thing happening. It's not like it's not there, it is there. Now how would you behave if it is inhabited by the Lord at every instance? His semblances he turns to real shapes by inhabiting, and makes the symbol equal with the truth. Each symbol, you remember that incident of this reminds me, who was that? Maybe Tulsidas, or maybe Taru would know, I don't know. Valmiki, who said instead of Ram Ram, he started saying Mara Mara Mara, and he got liberated. So what matters is not the word, but the quality or the sacredness that we could give to the word. So any mantra can become my liberating mantra. Anything. What is the intention with which I call it out? And this also reminds me of in Alok Das talk, there was this reference that there is a little child who is very fearful of going all the way to his school through a forest. And the mother just casually tells him that, if you feel fearful, you call your friend Hanuman, he will come, you call. So he, on the way to forest, he always calls Hanuman. And then for the mother, it is not real. Mother has just said it like casually. But for the little kid, he actually manifests. He becomes real, and he is helping and guiding through that way, through the forest. So what happens is our intention and the quality, the consciousness that we give to each and every word, or the act that we do. And Mother says that in any act, if you put a drop of true consciousness, it becomes a sacred act. So no act is a not spiritual act. You put a drop of little consciousness, true consciousness, sincerity, devotion. One drop is enough. Itra hota hai na, itra. And that's why divine is also referred to as itra. That one drop is enough. So that's the beauty, that he makes the symbol equal with the truth. Now, otherwise a symbol would have no meaning. It's mechanical. But the moment we put a drop of this true consciousness there, it becomes powerful, meaningful, and it makes things happen. Yeah, such is the beauty. He gives to his timeless thoughts a form in time. Again, the paradox of truth. Timeless thoughts he is giving owing to his presence and power, and his consciousness, he is giving these timeless thoughts a finite form in time. That although these ideas are very big, huge, and they will unfold, take a lot of time, and yet they unfold in time. So the paradox of truth. juxtaposed finite with the infinite. Yeah, anyone here? Yeah, anyone who feels ready, then if an absence of any reflections, please continue.
He is the substance. He is the self of things. She has forged from him her works of skill and might. She wraps him in the magic of her moods and makes of his myriad truths her countless dreams.
Yeah. So there is a beautiful kind of a divine play as if happening between Purusha and Prakriti. They are one with each other. They are not separate. And hence they have the liberty to play with each other. Since they are one in essence, they know each other inside out. So they have the liberty to play this game of hide and seek. He is the substance, he, the self of things. Again, that reference to the clay that we were sharing earlier, that if I make out of gold 10,000 different ornaments, on the appearance, it will appear like, oh my God, there are 10,000 different individualities. But what are they composed of? Gold. So the essence is the one. He is the substance. In other words, one way of looking at it is everything is consciousness. Consciousness or awareness is the substance of everything. Just like we talk about space, that why are there things in space? Because there is a space which is allowing the things to be. So what came first? Space came first. And without space, we cannot have the body, we cannot have a house, nothing can be there if not for space. So what is the substance of everything then? The intangible substance. It is consciousness, which many a times also get referred or metaphorically symbolized as space. So when we talk of this hidden awareness in us, not really so hidden, because if I am aware of my thought, that's how I know I know a thought. If I'm aware of a feeling, that's how I'm aware that I'm feeling something. I'm sad. So when I'm saying I'm sad, what I actually want to say is I'm aware that I'm sad. But what happens with us is that we give too much focus to the content of awareness, which is the sadness, and we forget that I'm aware. So it's a forgetfulness that we are born in. And that's why through all these, talks and satsangs and whatever we do, reading books, we just get reminded of our true nature again and again because we fall into forgetfulness. So he is the substance, consciousness, or this awareness, hidden and yet not hidden, is the self of all things. So can I, in my resting time, especially in my resting time, starts from there actually, can I, when I begin to maybe sit for some time, can I know myself as this awareness rather than focusing on thoughts, feelings, and sense perceptions? Stabilize myself as that awareness, the consciousness which is aware of things. So he is the substance, he, the self of all things. She has forged from him her works of skill and might. So where is all this energy and might of the Divine Mother coming from? Consciousness itself, the divine consciousness, the divine being itself. So she is as if she's harnessing all the works that she does through his primordial essence, without which anything cannot be. She wraps him in the magic of her moods. So look at the existence. Beautiful colors and shapes, and I mean, look at a little insect. Look at the perfection that little insect has. The colors of a butterfly, the delineated patterns on each butterfly, for example, little insects, so beautiful. Even the reptilians, which may appear very, scary and ugly, creepy in the beginning, but they have their beauty. So she, the Prakriti, Maya, which makes everything happen, movement, she wraps him in the magic of her moods. Look at our own moods. Up there, down here, up there, down here, here and there and there and there, changing all the time. And yet hidden in that is this awareness through which I'm aware of that mood. I rarely give attention to that. And that's why I lose myself in that dark clouds of thoughts, feelings, and the moods. And I take them so seriously that yes, this is my mood, this is bad, and I have to take care of it. I forget that there is also hiding behind the mood is this awareness owing to the presence of which I am aware of the mood. We miss that. And that's why masters have said that it's not there is no secret really. It's very, very obvious. Kabir talks of this path of effortlessness. Why it is obvious for them? Because they have put a lot of effort not to identify with thought, feeling, and sensations. There we need a lot of effort because the mind is so sticky, it sticks to everything. So even there is magic of her moods. She's making so many things happen, colors, patterns, different things are happening. She wraps him in the magic of her moods. So him is not visible, but moods are visible, right? So my awareness just completely as if we ignore it. But what is what do I give attention to? Okay, this is how I'm feeling. I'm angry right now. I'm hateful right now. I completely miss the him. She wraps him in the magic of her moods and makes of his myriad truths her countless dreams. So divine manifests itself in various relative truths, unfolding of so many individualities, and all of them are unique and special. So what she does is that his variety of truths, she makes it into countless dreams. So she makes use of it. She gives color and vibrancy to life. And that's why we love meeting with each other, because although each one is one in essence, we are all divine. But look at the way we all express it. It's so unique and special. So that's the variety she adds. Prakriti, her countless dreams. So it's the same sunlight expressing itself out, and yet the curtains, the thin, delicate curtains that we are, little patterns made on those curtains, they are so unique and special. So that we can have enjoyment of the companionship, or like listening to each other, getting to kind of sharing reflections with each other, because each one would share in it a different manner. So that's the variety, that's the delight that we get, the joy that we get, which is the basis of existence. Yeah. Anything here? Anyone? Okay, so we'll just do these last two lines maybe, and then, or maybe, okay, I think we can do until here and then we can stop for the day. Anyone who feels ready?
The master of being has come down to her, an immortal child born in the fugitive years, in objects wrought, in the persons she conceives. Dreaming, she chases her idea of him and catches here a look and there a jest. Ever he repeats in them his ceaseless births.
Yeah. So again, referring to the Supreme, the master of being has come down to her. An immortal child born in the fugitive years. Fugitive is something which is just running away, escaping. Years that are just going by and by. And yet there is an immortal child, which is always there. It's like unceasingly there. Immortal child born. Again, whenever we have this again and again come in Savitri, whenever he talks like this, juxtaposes finite with the infinite, eternal in the time. So here, an immortal child born in the fugitive years. So whenever we look at these lines, as if it absorbs you somewhere. An immortal child born, because the mind goes for a toss. A mind ko samajh mein nahi aata, ye kaise ho sakta hai? So because we try to reason it out logically and analytically. And yet, that's the purpose. That's the purpose, that can the mind go to its source, just as a matter of saying, it's always in its source, nowhere else. But can the mind relax in its source, be silent and not the monkey mind all the time? An immortal child born in the fugitive years, in objects wrought, in the persons she conceives. So wrought is, whenever we talk about wrought iron, so as if we are hammering something out of this metallic kind of big lump that is there. In objects wrought, so she is hammering out objects through this clay making. In persons she conceives. So many individualities, so many personalities. Dreaming, she chases her idea of him. How beautiful. Each person, each individuality, as if nature is chasing her idea of the divine, of him, and trying to put it in form, trying to give it perfect shape. Look at how we evolved from stone, then to various plant forms, then to various insect forms, reptilians, dinosaurs came in between. So as if through each form, each person, she is trying to give it a divine, more and more a divine expression, that, okay, how can I make it better? How can I make even a better of divine expression here? And that's why Mother says that those of us who cannot think of divine, you think of perfection, because you cannot reach the divine, and hence similarly you cannot ever reach the perfection. It's just a road that has to be traveled. So you can always go closer and closer and closer and closer, and that itself is beauty. The moment you touch even a bit of something pure within you, it gives you delight. But mostly we are not able to hold that delight, we spill it out. So that's our journey, that can I become more and more stronger in strength to hold the delight. Now we see the spilling of delight in, for example, parties and many functions, how we celebrate them. We are not able to hold the joy. And that's why we are not capable yet of a delight of the divine. Although हम कहते हैं कि मुझे divine bliss चाहिए, but we would not be able to hold it. It's only through pain that we are able to hold it. Because when, for example, we make utensils out of clay, how we make them mature? We pakao them in kind of, aag. We heat them up, we bake them. So through pain, through the tapasya that we go through, we become more strenuous, we become more powerful in our inner strength, so that we become capable of holding the divine joy also. So there is a reason for, at the moment, pain to exist in our life. It's only through pain that endurance comes. Otherwise, we are not enduring. We always want to spill things out. It's hard not to share. Think about it. And it takes a lot of inner strength to hold the beauty. Having a beautiful relationship and yet not spilling it out. Very hard. Try it. It's very hard. it requires a lot of grace, I believe, in the personality, that you're having a beautiful life and yet you're very okay about it. Like, it is okay. It's very normal. You're not spilling it out, going ga over it, because there is a lot to be done yet. Mother says that never get self-satisfied with yourself, that there is a lot that is not yet accomplished. So she dreams, she chases her idea of him in whatever forms and personalities she conceives, her, and catches here a look, there a gist. Whenever you are sketching or making something, you see that many a times you haven't caught anything of the person if you're sketching a portrait or something, and many a times a bit of reflection of a person comes. That real person as if shines through a bit, maybe through the nose or the ear or the eyes. Something of the person shines through that sketch. It may be not a perfect one, but something or the other shines through that sketch. So she catches here a look and there a jest. Ever he repeats in them his ceaseless births. So he is a partner in the play. So whatever she is making, he is there. He repeats in all the forms his ceaseless births, countless, infinite, unending number of births. Because he is the partner. He's not aloof somewhere else sitting on a throne. He is very much Prabhu and Prabhuta, creator and the creation. They are one. And when we begin to look at like this, then we would never feel away from home, because if we want to be home, we have to be meditative, right? And if I'm not sitting in my meditation, I'm feeling, oh my God, something is not right. But then when in the manifestation itself, in the movements itself of life, if I'm able to see even a bit of a jhalak of divine, then I feel at rest, I feel home, that I'm okay here. Yeah. Anything here? Anyone? Shall we end here then? Okay, so we'll continue next time. And then it ends this section and then a new section starts from here. Okay, so thank you everyone. In absence of any comments, thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thanks, Monica.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.